So last week we learned about the times of accepting Shabbat, and this week we're learning about lighting the candles themselves. How do you light candles? When do we light candles? If I'm hosted, do I have to light candles? Don't I have to light candles? What happens when we host different people? Do we light in the same place? Don't we light in the same place? What do we do?
You see, I would jeopardize occasion to get even.
I got just silent.
You two need to take this outside right now. You're disturbing my ED. Sorry, Megan.
Okay. Yeah. So when we go to the hotel, can we light in the main room in the Chata? Good evening. We just started now. Yeah. No, we have also on Zoom. Yeah. 3. Yeah. So else happens. I was just saying that for next week, I was going to bring for this week cookies. My wife is just now baking cookies, but I think I'll bring for next week.
Yeah. I don't eat sugar, but
you don't eat sugar. We can bring sugar as cookies.
I'll bring my own.
Yeah. When you learn, you also have to fill the Shama learning and also the body learning. That goes together. Going to bring seltzer. We'll bring whole drinks. I like seltzer, but
We haven't.
whole drink seltzer.
I do, but not now.
Only if you bring so otherwise. Okay. Anyway, so when we host people, do they light in the same room? Do they have to light in different rooms? Different questions we have about like how many candles do we have to light? What happens if someone forgot to light candles? If the wife is out of the house, do we light candles? Don't we light candles? The men light candles. So we have quite a few relevant halachot got to do for that. And so let's begin. When I was in Memphis, so one of the rabbis there, he claimed that lighting candles today doesn't have any meaning. There's no meaning of lighting candles today. Why? Because we have lights, we have electricity. Actually, I forgot to bring for my house. I have an electric small light, especially for lighting candles. So he claimed there's no point of lighting candles today. We have electricity. The very, very known reason for lighting candles is shlom bayit. Means when there's no light in the house, thank you very much. When there's no light in the house, so we get knocked over from different things and we start fighting. So lighting candles is an important part of shlom bayit. We see today. We don't need it. Another aspect of lighting candles is on Shabbat. Friday night, yes, Friday night candles. Another reason is to see the food. They say that half of the experience of eating isn't eating, is seeing the food, right? That's why when you go to restaurants, so the food looks nice. It needs to look nice. And obviously when there's no light, so you can't see the food, you can't enjoy the candles, you can't enjoy the food so much. So the candles help us enjoy the food.
Also the preparation of candles is good. Shalom bayit.
If your husband does it, it could be sometimes fighting. You do it, didn't you do it? Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it should help shalom bayit. Yeah, it should be. So anyway, so the rabbi from Memphis claimed that there's no point of lighting candles today. It's not permissible. He said, I can hardly understand how you can say a bracha on it. And then one Shabbat we didn't have electricity. A car bashed into the people in Memphis drives worse than Israelis. And every now and then they used to have an accident into the electricity pole, and then we used to lose our power. And one of the time it happened to be on Shabbat. And the rabbi said afterwards, now this Shabbos, actually everyone needs to light candles, and there's even a mitzvah from it.
What is it? A midah? You'll go into it. Is it a midah?
It's today. It's part of Onik Shabbat, part of Akarat al Shabbat Onik. No, it's a halacha which is already based in we'll see also kiddush, which might be the right one, but kiddush on wine is already Kanad Rabbanan. It has an aspect of it of a Doraita aspect of we'll see in just a moment that it's very important to light candles. And then I said to myself, it can't be. Everyone lights candles, and everyone says a bracha on lighting candles. And the proof that I saw that even candles today has a meaning, and that's the third reason of Shabbat. It's to show the importance of Shabbat, to show how Shabbat is respect Shabbat. So the same as we learned a few weeks ago about walking differently on Shabbat and behaving differently on Shabbat and having different words, using different words of Shabbat. Part of what we learned from Yeshayahu, Shabbat Oneg. So part of it is also lighting candles. And the best proof, when's the last time you went to a wedding? כן. 5:45. ברוך אתה, מה עם כן. אני יכול לעבוד דרכך. אני אעבוד דרכך אחר כך.
לא, מה אתה עבוד? תלך לבית.
אני צריך להביא את הבת שלי בכל מקרה.
אני פה 9.
אוקיי, טוב.
הבת שלי שלך משהו אצלנו.
So, כן. So when you go to a wedding, you see every table, many tables have candles on them. Why? To show it's nice. It brings a nice atmosphere. So that's the third reason we have for lighting candles today in Shabbat, on Shabbat and for Shabbat, not on Shabbat. And that's why even today we have a very, very importance of lighting candles. Even if we have a Shalom Bayit, because if we don't see people, we don't see we might bang or bash into all sorts of things, and we'll start fighting. Onyx Shabbat of seeing the food and enjoying the food. And the third is honoring the Shabbat. And that reason we still have today of honoring Shabbat. So that's, and we said that lighting candles is so important, especially when it was for Shalom Bayit. If a person has only a bit of money, he should buy bread and fast on Shabbat. But let's say if a person has money or to buy wine for Kiddush or for lighting candles, what should he do? Yeah,
So
maybe
food-
our days wine because we have electricity, we have power.
Right.
As Kiddush, we can do Kiddush on bread. And part of Onyx Shabbat, Onyx Shalom Bayit is to have candles. So lighting candles is very, very important thing of Shabbat.
Well, what was the source of the lighting? Source of lighting?
It's a chamim, it's a takana of chachamim. It's not that they're right, but it's based on, as we said, of the atmosphere of Shabbat, of the Onyx Shabbat. It's a rabbinical mitzvah, but has a very, very strong.
There's no biblical source for it.
No.
Even a hint, or like a
Hint. You say biblical. It is based on Yeshayahu. We can base it on Yeshayahu. Yeah, so that's biblical. Part of lighting candles is having Onyx Shabbat. So it is biblical, but not from the Torah, more from the Nevi'im. It's lighting candles is so important. The woman lights candles. The woman forgot to light candles on Shabbat. So the Shulchan Aruch writes that as a knas, as a fine, or maybe as a to cause her to remember lighting candles next week or afterwards, every week from that week on, add another candle. So if a woman has a minhag custom, light 2 candles, from that moment on, should light 3 candles. Okay, and so on. So if someone
again, you like a light.
if you light 4, yeah, light 4. Now I asked Rav Dov
I
Lior,
went up to 7.
but
that's
because of kids, yeah. I asked Rav Dov Lior Plita, and also Pnei Nachalas what his psak. What about today? Today we have electricity, so there's no idea of Onyx Shabbat. There's no Shalom Bayit because we have light in any case. So he said today we don't need to do the fine. We just have the idea of the atmosphere of Shabbat, so that's honoring Shabbat. So if a woman forgets to light candles one Shabbat, so she doesn't need to from now on light an extra candle. Also see from here we should use electricity at least in every room that we sleep in. Well, we should have more light next to it, maybe from the door next to it. So we have a corridor, which is a long corridor and it's dark there at the end, maybe we don't want our rooms to be light. We won't be able to sleep, right? But outside, we should have maybe a small light or something that will bring light inside. So when we go inside and look for our clothes or something, we won't step on different things.
About lights.
What lights?
And-
Right. Yeah. So part of Onyx Shabbat is when you go just before Shabbos comes in, and you go between the rooms and turn off all the lights, and you make sure your lights, the small lights are on. That's part of Onyx Shabbat. Part of Onyx Shabbat. Okay. Just one comment about the numbers of candles, since we mentioned them. The halacha is we need to light only one candle. That's the basic halacha. A very, very, very common custom is to light 2 candles, one for Zachor and one for Shamor. That's a very, very common custom. And the very common custom too is to light an extra candle for each child. So someone who has 5 children will light 7 candles and so on. Some light 7 candles always for the 7 days of the week. Some light 10 candles for the 10 sfirot, but the common custom is start with 2 and then who lights candles? You already the mitzvah is connected to the house, right? Because the idea is to have light in the house. So usually the parents will light candles. Typically the wife, because she's the ikar habayit, she's the maintains the house. Maybe the education is around the wife. She touches the kids with a special way. So typically the woman lights the candle, Shabbat candles. If the wife isn't at home, okay, she went somewhere overseas, she's giving birth, whatever the reason is, so the husband should light candles. We'll see later.
Even if she does.
Even if they say
She's doing it wherever she is.
yeah, because we have to have candles in the house where we're staying. Okay, so she flew to a conference in New York, so she'll be lighting candles there, and we light candles in our house here. What about children? So children light candles. So the Shulchan Aruch, no, only the mother lights the candles. I have a very, I think it's becoming spreading out the custom that every girl from as soon as she's 3 years old, she lights her own candles. Okay, why? And Chabad were very, very. The Rebbe Milubavitch was very strong about that, and I think he one of his reasons was, boy has so many things around. He has the upturn, the halakha, and then he has a bar mitzvah with tefillin, and so he wanted the girls also to feel a very, very strong connection to Judaism. And even if Chas v'Chayila later on they'll leave Judaism, they'll always have remember the candles that they lit on Shabbat. So they'll have like a light in the heart towards Shabbat. It's quite a common minhag, not very common, but it is quite common. I've seen quite a few girls who light candles, even at the house, and they light it with the bracha. So the minhag according to Chabad and people who follow that, they light it with a bracha. Since we discussed about who's lighting candles, so what about a guest? I'm a guest at the house. What do I do? Do I light candles or don't light candles? So why not?
Because the person who lights is your Yotzei. She's Yotzei you.
So I'm in a house, and I'm part of the household. So typically I'm part of the household. A guest will usually be part of the household. Is what we call tafel. Is how do you say tafel in English? So even
periphery. The main thing and the car,
the main, yeah. Okay, so when you have 2 families, also meikaradin, so you have the host, the people who host, and they light candles, and the guests they can be also with them. The minhag of the Ashkenazim, and it has a very, very big meaning when you go to hotels, but even when a family comes as a guest, that also the guests light candles. Okay, also the guests light candles. And that's a very, very common minhag by the Ashkenaz, all the Ashkenazim, even some of the Sfaradim do the same thing. When a whole family comes. When the family comes as a whole family, so they will they stay on their own unit, the unit of the family, and they'll last for themselves. One boy comes, maybe sometimes even one girl comes, so there will be also with the hosts. But if the family comes as a family, they will light. Better to light in a separate place. Okay, so lighting in the kitchen, lighting in the dining room. If the hosts light in the dining room, so you should light in the kitchen. Why?
What difference does it make?
So each candle will add, it will be very significant by adding light. If it's together, so okay, no, one candle, two candles, three candles. There's no okay. It's just an extra candle. So it's better to light in different places, especially when they have their own room. Okay, so they should be lighting in their own room. That's a bad room. It's a bad idea. You don't want to have like candles in a room where you're sleeping in. Okay, so it's not a practical. It's practical when they're sleeping in a different house. Okay, when they're sleeping in a different house, so they can light in one house. The hosts will light in their house, and when they eat together, so they'll eat together. If they light in a different house, they should make sure to have one out of two options. But before the options, we light candles before Shabbat comes in, right? We learned last week, we have all of the period of Be'er Shmashot, which is half Shabbat, right? And then when it becomes dark and Tzedek Kochavim, that's Shabbat. Yeah? So we want to enjoy the candles after Tzedek Kochavim. So we want to be able to enjoy the candles after Tzedek Kochavim. When I light the candles in my house and then I leave the house right away, I want to see the candles after Tzedek Kochavim, no problem. The same other way if I just go to shul and go somewhere else and light at my house. We need to see the candles after Tzedek Kochavim. Enjoy them even for a few seconds. So I have two options: or to leave someone in the house after Tzedek Kochavim, or to have long candles, or at least one of them have it as a long candle that will last until we come back. From what I remember, tea lights, those are small tea lights, they can last up to 4 hours, depending on the heat and the weather, but they can last up to 4 hours. So if I'm going to friends, I don't know that we eat fast. Okay, it's not, we don't say this is schmoozing, and which usually happens. But if I don't say the schmoozing,
Well, when you go to someone's house,
people typically usually they schmooze and you go there for a meal and you'll finish
right?
many hours afterwards,
Yeah.
right?
You don't do that.
We also do it. We also finish.
Yeah.
But well, when we in Memphis, we used to host almost every Shabbat. We used to host. Lechim, so we used to host every Shabbat, part of a show. So yeah, almost every Shabbat we used to host. I think once a month we try to have a Shabbat which is quiet for ourselves. But we used to host a lot. The kids used to ask on an empty Shabbat, why aren't we hosting? They were so used to it. It's a boring Shabbat. Well, what?
Yes,
Is it what?
Have you had guests here yet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. We have to try to figure out the lounge room or the dining room of how to have the sofa and sitting everyone together. It's a bit complicated.
There yet.
Yeah, it's also small, but yeah, the dining room was small. They had a dining room, and you go down two steps, and you had the lounge room.
Yeah.
You just bring it up, and you have a big room. But anyway, so you used to start the meal at 12, and then finish it at 4. Okay, so that wouldn't help for. Thank you very much. That wouldn't help for lighting candles. But anyway, for lighting candles, you have to make sure you enjoy the candles for a few seconds, at least for a few seconds after Tzedek Kochavim. Very much. So if you leave the house, you should leave the house after Tzedek Kochavim, a few seconds, or come back before the candles turn out. So let's just summarize about guests. So the best thing for guests is to light in different rooms, different places. The common minhag, especially by Ashkenazim, is that in the end everyone lights in the dining room, because when they eat, so they want to see the candles, and it does add more atmosphere when you have more candles. So it does add more to honoring Shabbat, and especially when you see them while you eat. That's the common minhag by the Ashkenazim. and you even say a bracha on that, on those candles. But many Sfaradim, they will only the first one who likes will say a bracha, only the host, only she'll say a bracha, and that's it. The same applies for a hotel, or you go for go to a hotel, and usually they will never let us light candles in our rooms, right? But next to the Chadar Ochel, they have a big table and they have a million candles on it. And if you're Sephardi, so the first one will say a bracha, and the rest will not say a bracha. Ashkenazim, they will say a bracha. Also, the last one will even say a bracha. That's the Ashkenazim and Sephardim. Yeah, let's continue. One more halacha about. Okay, so mention that when a family comes as a guest, they light candles, according to Ashkenazim, right? The single person comes as a guest, since he's not used to lighting candles, and he's already he joins the crowd. Yeah, he joins the host. What happens when a single person lives alone, or they live in a pneumonia, in a dormitory, or he's in a hospital, right? So there's no lighting there for him, so he or she needs to light for themselves. Okay? So also for women, when typically after they give birth, so they'll stay there always for 2 days, usually, and there's a good chance they'll stay there for Shabbat. They should also light candles there. I got to bring it to my house. I have a small electric candle battery, and has it's not a LED. It's like an old-fashioned light. Yeah, and according to many poskim, you can say a bracha on that. So we'll get to electricity very, very soon. Okay, so that's electricity.
That would be good, going out to guests.
And that's now about electricity. So now about power. Okay, so we mentioned who lights the candles. We mentioned guests. We mentioned that today when we have electricity, so the importance of lighting candles, it's not so high as in the past. But here comes another question: can I light candles with electricity? Can I light candles? I just go to the switch, turn it on, say a bracha on it, and say it. Okay, I lit candles. Okay, can I do it?
What's with a lamp?
With a lamp. Okay, or the opposite. Is there any meaning in lighting candles when I have electricity? Maybe I should turn off the light, and then right before I light candles, turn on the light and light Shabbat candles.
Logic would say, I think that to turn off the light on Shabbat, then it'd be okay to light a candle.
As a candle,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It's the same.
Call the main lights.
You call the main lights? That's a good
Set
question.
a bracha and then put the main lights.
Yeah, maybe you can do it. So let's divide here between two maybe issues. First, is this light considered like a candle? Typically, a LED or fluorescent is not considered as a candle. But the other lights, had the light bulb, the old light bulbs that we used to have, they, according to many poskim, they are considered as candle, as fire. Also for Shabbat, it will be an Avrami Deoraita, and also for lighting candles. So according to many poskim, many poskim, you can light electricity lights for Shabbat. But some say it's not like a candle. Okay, in candle you have the burning material, maybe it'll be oil or whatever, close to the fire. Here, the burning material is somewhere in the power station far away, or the windmill, or whatever it is. When Chazal had the takana of lighting candles, that's what they said, light candles, and it gives very nice light, electricity, but in the end, it's not a candle. So that's why I was going to bring from my house. I have this electric candles for Shabbat, which have a battery, okay? And you turn them on and it works until the battery dies, quite a few hours. And that's more like a candle. More like a candle because the burning, I mean, is an energy source is close to the flame. That could be a very, very good solution. It gives a torch, exactly. It gives a torch. Exactly, yeah. It gives a torch. If it's not LED. If it's a LED, so you should use a torch. Now, obviously, if it's dark outside, if you're camping, so you should make sure you have light. Maybe you can't see a bracha on it. You should make sure you have light. So if you're camping outside, and so turn on your torches before Shabbat. Flashlights, right? So you should do it. Now,
So you
what
would say a bracha on it?
if it's a LED? So no. If it's not LED, so you say a bracha on it. According to many people, you say a bracha. Now, what about lighting candles when we have all of the electricity around us? So we already mentioned that there still is a meaning of lighting candles, although we have light. But some poskim say that before you light the Shabbat candles, turn off the lights, turn on the lights with the mind of, I'm now turning on the lights for the honor of Shabbat, and then light the Shabbat candles. So it's not necessary to do it, but if you do it, I'm sure it brings in more to the atmosphere of Shabbat. When you have your regular lights with the mind on, you said, I'm doing it now for the honoring of Shabbat, that's gives a different atmosphere, to different meaning to the light that we have. One more halacha before we end. When do we say the bracha on the candle? Which actually hides a bigger question. Last week, we learned that somewhere there we can decide that we accept Shabbat upon ourselves. I can decide an hour before Shabbat. For me, now it's Shabbat. For me, now it's Shabbat. And I won't be allowed to do any melach. So we learned it last week. So the question is, when a woman or when a man, when they say the bracha on the candles, does that mean that they accept Shabbat? Does it mean they accept Shabbat? That's a big question. Can you light candles and then drive to shul? Let's say I live far away, can drive to shul after lighting candles. So let's start from the men. The men is easier. The regular custom for men is that by lighting candles, we do not accept Shabbat upon ourselves. Why? Because men also need to daven mincha, and we daven mincha only afterwards, and we daven mincha when it's still Friday. Why? Because we daven mincha on Friday. And the common minhag that men do not accept Shabbat upon themselves when they light candles. So saying the bracha is it doesn't have, it's for Shabbat, but I'm not accepting Shabbat when I say a bracha. Therefore, when a man lights candles, he first says the bracha, and then he lights the candles. Why? Like any other mitzvah, when we first say the bracha, and then we do the mitzvah. So we first, when a man lights candles, he first says the bracha of Adikar Shabbat, and then he lights the candles. Okay, that's for men. For women, it's very common. The common minhag is that women accept Shabbat upon themselves when while saying the bracha. While saying the bracha. This for Ashkenazi women. Okay, while saying the bracha, a woman accepts Shabbat upon herself. 1 second, we have here a problem. On one hand, we want to say the bracha before lighting the candles, right? On the other hand, as soon as the woman says the bracha, so it's already Shabbat, she can't light candles. So what do we do? That's why the woman first lights candles, then she says the bracha, and when she says the bracha, she covers her eyes. When she lifts her hands from her eyes, now she enjoys the candle. So now she's finishing the mitzvah. So woman first light candles, then say the bracha, and then she exposes her eyes and sees the candles. Now there are also women who do like this and other things, but the main thing is just to open the eyes and see the candle. And all the other movements are just.
I thought it was closing.
Yeah, closing the eyes also fine. Yeah,
The ikar is open.
The ikar is to open the eyes after the bracha. Okay, and all the rest of the things is just okay. There's.
What about if candles go out? Not to relight.
Not relight. It's already Shabbat, but you can ask her husband to relight.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can ask her husband to relight them.
Let's say your husband, you light them after Shabbat?
No, you can't. No.
No, after Shabbat.
No,
We like that?
no. Point?
Have to finish it.
Yeah.
Would-
No, definitely. Not like Shabbat. Shabbat. So, yeah, there's no point of writing it after.
What was this?
Maybe more from Hinig, but there's no Chanukah is something else. That's Chanukah something. Yeah. And maybe one thing. I think we have a second. If a woman needs to drive, let's say after lighting the candles, okay, and she's going to a faraway church, she needs to drive afterwards. So she should have in mind that when have in mind that when she's lighting the candles, it's not accepting Shabbat. According to many scheme, she can do it. Okay, so a woman can light the candles, say specifically that even while saying the bracha, she's not accepting Shabbat, and then she can drive. Okay, so we are stopping now for Mincha, for Mariv, and